that's over.
I have never been to an inquest in this country before. Are they always like that?
Well, they vary, you know, they vary.
Seems so businesslike. So unemotional.
You don't go in for emotion much. It's just a routine business inquiry, that's all.
Wasn't it rather an odd sort of verdict? They said she died from an overdose of stropanthin, but they didn't say how it was administered. I should have thought they'd have said suicide while the balance of the mind was disturbed, and have done with it.
Cannot believe that I committed suicide.
I should not have said so either.
All the same, the evidence was pretty clear. Her fingerprints on the bottle and on the glass.
There must have been some kind of accident. Must. Her hand shook a great deal, you know. She must have put in far more than she realized. The strange thing is, I don't remember putting the bottle on the table. I suppose I must have.
It was my fault. I should have given her the drops before I went out.
It was nobody's fault. Nothing is more unprofitable than accusing oneself of having left undone something one should have done, or the opposite. These things happen, and they're very sad. Let's just leave it at that, if we can.
You don't think that Anya took an overdose deliberately, do you, Doctor?
I shouldn't have said so.
She did talk about it. You know, I mean, when she got depressed.
Yes, yes, nearly all chronic invalids talk of suicide. They seldom commit it.
I say, I do hope I'm not butting in coming here. I expect you want to be alone. I shouldn't be in your way.
No, no. It was kind of you, my dear boy.
I just thought perhaps there was something I could do. I'd do anything, if only I could do
Your
something.
presence here helps me, Lester. Anya was very fond of me.
I made some coffee and some little sandwiches. I thought, sir, as you need to keep your strength up.
Thank you, Mrs. Roper.
I rushed here as fast as I could after the inquest to make sure everything was ready for when you come.
So did you go to the inquest then, Mrs. Roper?
Of course, sir. I felt I had an interest like, oh, poor dear woman. Low on her spirits, wasn't she? I mean, I thought I'd go as a sign of respect, if nothing more. But I can't say it's been very nice, though, having the police here asking me questions.
These routine inquiries have to be made, Mrs.
Oh,
Roper.
of course, sir.
Whenever a certificate cannot be given, there has to be a coroner's inquiry.
Yes, I'm sure it's very right and proper, sir. But it's not very nice. That's what I say. I mean, it's not what I've become accustomed to. My husband wouldn't like it if he thought I were involved in anything of sort.
I do not see that you are mixed up in it in any way, Mrs. Roper.
Well, they asked me questions, didn't they, as to whether she was low on her spirits or if she ever spoke of anything of that kind. Quite a lot of questions they asked me.
Well, that is all over now, Mrs. Roper. I do not think you need for any further.
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
All ghouls, you know, these women. Nothing they like better than illnesses, deaths, and funerals. The inquest, I expect, is an added joy.
That's that?
Thanks so much.
It must have been some kind of accident. It must.
I don't know. Not quite the same as your coffee, Lisa, my dear.
I expect it's been boiling hard for half an hour.
It was kindly meant.
Oh, I wonder if I should just get that from Margaret.
Yeah, have a sandwich.
No, thank you.
Eat them up, my boy. Always hungry at your age.
Well, thanks. I don't mind if I do.
Carl?
Excuse me a moment. Yes, I'm coming.
He's terribly cut up, isn't he, Doctor?
Yes.
It seems odd in a way. At least I don't mean odd because I suppose what I mean is it's so difficult to understand what other people feel like.
Just what are you trying to say, my boy?
Well, what I mean is, poor Mrs. Hendrick being an invalid and all that, you'd think, wouldn't you, that he'd get a bit impatient with her, or feel himself tied, and you'd think that really, underneath, he'd be glad to be free. Not a bit. He loved her. He really loved her.
Love isn't just glamour, desire, and sex appeal, all the things you young people are so sure it is. That's nature's start to the whole business. It's a showy flower, if you like, but love's the root, underground, out of sight. Not much to look at, but it's where the life is.
I suppose so, yes. But passion doesn't last so, does it?
Oh, God, give me strength. You young people know nothing of these things. You read in the papers of divorces, of love tangles with a sex angle to everything. Study the columns of death sometimes for a change. Plenty of records there of Emily this and John that dying in their 74th year, beloved wife of so-and-so, beloved husband of someone else. Unassuming records of lives spent together, sustained by the root I've just talked of, which still puts out its leaves and its flowers. Not showy flowers, but still flowers.
I suppose you're right. I've never thought about it. I've always thought of getting married as taking a bit of a chance. Unless, of course, you meet a girl who...
Yes, that's the recognised pattern. You meet a girl, or you've already met a girl, who's different.
But really, sir, she is different.
Well, I see. Good luck to you, young fellow.
Would you give this to your wife, Doctor? It was Anya's. I know she would like Margaret to have it.
Well, thank you, Carl. I know Margaret will appreciate the gift. I must be off. I can't keep my surgery patients waiting.
I'll go too, if you're sure there's nothing I can do for you, sir.
As a matter of fact, there is. Lisa has been putting together some parcels of clothes and things like that. She sends them to the East London Mission. If you would help her take them to the post office.
Goodbye, Carl.
If you would look through these, Carl, sit down there and go through them quietly and alone. It has to be done, and the sooner the better.
Wise you are, Lisa. One puts these things off and dreads them. Dreads the hurt. As you say, it is better to do it and finish.
I shan't be long. Come along, Lester.
So long ago. So long ago. Well, go away, whoever you are.
Could you come inside, please? It's Miss Rolander to see you, sir.
I do hope I'm not being a nuisance. I went to the inquest, you see, and felt afterwards I must come on and speak with you. But if you'd rather I went away.
No. No, it was kind of you.
I'll just nip out and get another half-pound of tea.
Yes, of course, Mrs. Roper.
Oh. Oh, I see what you're doing, sir. Oh, and a sad business it always is. Because my sister now, she's a widow, and she kept all her letters what her husband sent her from the Middle East. Oh, and she'll take them out and she'll cry over them like as not. The heart doesn't forget, sir. That's what I say. The heart doesn't forget.
As you say, Mrs. Roper.
Oh, it must have been a terrible shock to you, sir. Or did you expect it?
No, I did not expect it.
I can't imagine how she came to do such a thing. It just doesn't seem right, sir. Not right at all.
Did you say you were going to get some tea, Mrs. Roper?
Oh, that's right, sir. And I must hurry, sir, because I'll jump up there now. He closes at 12:30.
I was so sorry to hear.
Thank you.
Of course, she'd been ill a long time, hadn't she? She must have got terribly depressed.
Did she say anything to you that day before you left her?
No, I don't think so. Nothing in particular.
But she was depressed, in low spirits.
Yes, she was.
You went away and left her, alone, before Lisa came back.
Sorry about that. I'm afraid it didn't occur to me. I mean, she said she was perfectly all right, and she urged me not to stay and work. Well, as a matter of fact, I felt she really wanted me to go, and so I did. Of course, now...
No, I understand. I can see now that the fire on your heads is in her mind. She might have urged you to go.
And in a way, really, it's the best thing that could have happened, isn't it?
What do you mean the best things that could have happened?
Well, for you, I mean. And for her, too. She wanted to get out of it all. And now she has. So everything's all right, isn't it?
I sometimes find it hard to believe that she did want to get out of it
She
all.
said so. After all, she couldn't have been happy, could she?
Sometimes she was very happy.
She couldn't have been. Not knowing she was a burden on you.
She was never a burden on me.
Why must you be so hypocritical about it? I know you were kind to her. And good to her. But let's face facts. To be tied to a querulous invalid is a drag on any man. Now you're free. You can move ahead. You can do anything. Anything. Aren't you ambitious?
I don't think
But
so.
you are, of course you are. I've heard people talk about you. I've heard people say that that book of yours was the most brilliant of the century.
Fine words indeed.
And there were people who knew. And you've had offers, too, to go to the United States, to all sorts of places. But you turned them down because of your wife, whom you couldn't leave and who couldn't travel. You've been tied so long you hardly know what it is to feel free. Wake up, Carl. Wake up, be yourself. You did the best you could for Anya, but now it's over. So you can start to enjoy yourself, to live life as it really ought to be lived.
Is this a sermon you're preaching me, Helen?
It's only the present and the future that matter.
It's the present and the future are made up as the
You're
past.
free. Why should we go on pretending we don't love each other?
I don't love you. You must get something into your head. I don't love you. You're living in a fantasy world of your own making.
I'm not.
You are. I hate to be cruel, but I must tell you now that I have no feelings for you as the kind you imagine.
You must have. You must have after all I've done for you. Some people wouldn't have the courage, but I loved you so much I couldn't bear to see you tied to a useless, querulous woman. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? I killed her. Now do you understand? I killed her.
You killed her. I don't know what you're saying.
I killed your wife. I'm not ashamed of it. People who are sick and worn out and useless should be removed. So as to leave room for the ones who matter.
You killed Anya.
She asked for her medicine and I gave it to her. I gave her the whole bottle full.
You.
Don't worry, nobody will ever know. I thought of everything. I wiped off all the fingerprints, and then put her own fingers first around the glass and then around the bottle. So everything's all right, you see. I never really meant to tell you. I just suddenly felt I couldn't bear there to be any secrets between us.
You killed Anya.
Well, if you once got used to the idea.
You killed Anya. You miserable immature child! What have you done? Why have you not so clearly about your courage, your resource? You killed my wife! My Anya! Do you realize what you've done? Talking about things you don't understand! Without compassion! Without pity! I could take you by the neck and strangle you here and now! Get out! Get out if I took to you what you did to Anya!
Carl.
Get out! Get out, I say!
I'm back, Carl.
What?
I met Helen on the stairs. She looked very strange. Went past me as though she didn't even see me. Carl? Carl, what has happened?
She killed Anya.
What?
She killed Anya! Anya asked for her medicines. That miserable child gave her an overdose deliberately.
But Anya's fingerprints were on the glass.
Helen put some after she was dead.
Oh, I see. She thought of everything.
I knew. I always knew that Anya would not have killed herself.
She's in love with you, of course.
Yes. Yes, but I never gave her any reason to think that I felt the same way, Lisa. I didn't. I swear that I didn't.
I don't suppose you did. She's the type of girl who would assume whatever she wanted must be so.
Poor, brave Anya.
What are you going to do about it?
Do?
Well, aren't you going to report it to the police?
Go to the police.
It's murder, Carl.
Yes, it was murder.
Well, then you must report what she said to the police.
I can't do that.
Why not? Do you condone murder?
I can't let that go.
We have come as refugees to a country where we live under the protection of its laws. I think we should respect those laws, no matter what our feelings on the subject are.
You really think I should go to the police?
Yes.
Why?
It seems to me pure common sense.
Common sense. Common sense. and will live one's life by common sense.
You don't, you never have. You're soft-hearted, Carl. But I'm not.
Is it wrong to feel pity? Can mercy ever be wrong?
It can lead to a lot of unhappiness.
One must be prepared to suffer for one's principles.
Perhaps that's your business. But others suffer for them too. Anya suffered for them.
I know, but you don't understand.
Oh, I understand very well.
What do you want me to do?
I have told you. Go to the police. Anya was murdered. This girl has admitted to murdering her. The police must be called.
But you haven't thought, Lisa. The girl is so young, she is only 23.
Whereas Anya was 36.
If she is tried and condemned, what good will it do? Will it bring Anya back? Don't you see, Lisa? Revenge won't bring Anya back to life again.
No. Anya is dead.
I wish you could see it my way.
I can't see it your way. I loved Anya. We were cousins and friends. We went about as girls together.
Going to the police won't bring Anya back again. And don't you see, Lisa, I'm bound to feel responsible myself. I must have in some way encouraged the girl.
You didn't encourage her. Let's speak plainly. She tried her utmost to seduce you and she failed.
No matter how you put it, I feel responsible. Love for me was her motive.
Her motive was to get what she wanted. She always got everything in life she wanted.
That's just what has been her tragedy. She has never had a
And
chance.
she's young and beautiful.
What do you mean?
Well, I wonder if you'd be so tender if she wanted your plain girl students.
You can't
What
say.
can't I think?
So I want that girl?
Aren't you attracted to her? Be honest with yourself, Carl. Are you sure you're not a little in love with the girl?
You can say that. You. When you know. You've always known. It's you I love, Lisa. You. And I have vacant night, thinking of you, longing for you. Lisa. Lisa. No one's at home. I wonder where Lisa.
Lisa, what are you doing here sitting in the dark?
I was just thinking.
I met Carl at the end of the street and we came along together. Do you know what I prescribed for you, Carl? A little alcohol. Stiff brandy, Lisa. No, I don't know way about. He's had a shock, you know. A bad shock.
I have told him about Helen.
Yes, he told me.
It has not been such a shock to you, I gather.
Well, I've been worried, you know. I didn't think Anya was a suicidal type, and I couldn't see any possibility of an accident. Then the inquest aroused my suspicions. Clearly, the police were behind the verdict. Yes, it looked fishy. The police questioned me fairly closely, and I couldn't help see what they were driving at. Well, of course, they didn't actually say anything.
So you were not surprised then?
No, not at all. That young woman thought she could get away with anything, even murder. Well, she was wrong.
I feel responsible.
Carl, take it from me, you weren't responsible in any way. Compared to that young woman, you're an innocent in arms. Besides, the whole thing's out of your hands now.
You think you should go to the police?
Yes.
No!
Why? Because you insist on feeling partly responsible? You're too sensitive.
Poor wretched child.
Oh, callous, murdering little bitch. That's nearer the mark. I shouldn't worry before you need. 10 to 1 will never come from the rest. Presumably, you should deny everything. There's got to be evidence, you know. The police may be quite sure who's done a thing, but be unable to make out a case. My father's a very important person, one of the richest men in England, and that counts.
There I think you are wrong.
I'm not saying anything against the police. If they've got a case, they'll go ahead without fear or favour. What I mean is, they'll have to scrutinise their evidence with extra care, and there can't really be much evidence on the face of it, unless she breaks down and confesses the whole thing. I should imagine she's much too hard-boiled for that.
She confessed to me.
That's different. As a matter of fact, I can't see why she did. It seems to me a damn silly thing to do.
Because she was proud of it.
Think so?
It's true. That is all so terrible. Now who can that be?
One of your boys or girls, I expect. I'll get with them.
Should I see Professor Hendrick, please?
Would you come this way, please? Inspector Ogden.
hope we're not disturbing you, Professor Hendrick.
No, not at all.
Good evening, Miss Koletsky. I expect you didn't think you would see me again, but we have a few more questions to ask. It was an open verdict, you understand. Insufficient evidence as to how the deceased lady came to take the fatal dose.
I know.
Have your own ideas changed as to that, sir, since first we talked about it?
They have not changed. I still think that it must have been some kind of accident.
But definitely not suicide.
Definitely not suicide.
Well, quite right as to that, sir. It was not suicide.
How do you know?
By evidence that was not given at the inquest. Evidence as to the fingerprints found upon the bottle containing the fatal drug. And upon the glass, also.
You mean? Let's say, well, my wife's fingerprints, don't say?
Oh, yes. They were your wife's fingerprints. But she didn't make them.
What do you mean?
It's the sort of thing an amateur criminal thinks is so easy. To pick up a person's hand and close it around a gun or a bottle or whatever it may be. But actually, it's not so easy to do. The position of those fingerprints are such that they could not have been made by a living woman grasping a bottle. That means that somebody else took your wife's hand and folded the fingers around the bottle and the glass, so as to give the impression that your wife committed suicide. A rather childish piece of reasoning, and done by someone rather cocksure of their own ability. Also, there should have been plenty of other prints on the bottle, but there weren't. They'd been wiped clean before your wife's were applied. You see what this means?
Yes, I see what it means.
There would be no reason to do such a thing if it were an accident. That leaves only one possibility.
Yes.
I wonder if you do see, sir. It means an ugly word. Murder.
Murder.
Doesn't that seem very incredible to you, sir?
You cannot know how incredible, Inspector. My wife was a kind and gentle woman. It will always seem to me both unbelievable and terrible that anyone should have killed her.
You yourself.
Are you accusing me?
Of course not, sir. Had any suspicions concerning you, I should give you the proper warning. No, Professor Hendrick. We know your story, and your time is fully accounted for. You left here in the company of Dr. Stoner, and he stated there was no medicine bottle or glass upon your wife's table at that time. From the time you left until the time Miss Koletsky says she arrived and found your wife dead. Every moment of your time is accounted for. You were lecturing to a group of students at the university. No, there can be no suspicion of your being the one to put the fingerprints upon the bottle. What I am asking you, sir, is whether you have any idea yourself as to who could have done so.
I cannot help you.
You will appreciate, of course, that this alters things. I wonder if I might have a look around the flat, around Mrs. Hendrick's bedroom in particular. I can get a search warrant if necessary, but...
Of course. Look wherever you need. My wife's bedroom is through there.
Thank you.
Miss Koletsky has been sorting through her things.
Carl, I've known you long enough to tell you plainly you're being a fool.
I can't be the one who puts them onto a trap. And I'll get her soon enough without my help.
I wouldn't be so sure about that. It's all highfalutin nonsense.
She didn't know what she was doing.
She knew perfectly well.
She didn't know because life has not yet taught her understanding and compassion.
Have you made him see sense yet?
Not yet. You're cold.
No, I'm not cold. I am afraid. I shall go and make some coffee.
I wish I could make you and Lisa see. Such revenge will not bring any back to life.
Supposing our young beauty goes on disposing of wives that happen to stand in her way?
I will not believe
I
that.
understand some of your wife's clothing and effects have already been disposed of.
Yes, they were sent to the Southern Mission, I think.
What about papers, letters?
I was going through them this morning. So what do you expect to find?
Oh, one never knows. Some note, a memorandum set down.
I doubt it. Still, look if you must, so I don't expect you'll find any. Then you need these. Say, as the letters I wrote to my wife many years ago.
I'm afraid I must just look through them, sir.
I will be in the kitchen if you need me, Inspector.
Do you think he was in on it? No, I don't. Not beforehand. That's the faintest idea, I should say. He knows now. It's been a shock to him. He's not saying anything. That would be too much to expect. Doesn't seem to be much here. Not likely to be, under the circumstances.
If there had been, Mrs. Mott would have known about it. I'd say she was a pretty good snooper. That kind always knows the dirt. And did she enjoy spilling it?
An unpleasant woman,
She'd do right in a witness box.
unless she overdoes it. Well, nothing additional here. We'd better get on with the job. Will you come in here, please? Miss Koletsky, there are some additional questions I would like to ask you. You understand that you're not forced to answer anything unless you please.
I do not want to answer any more questions.
Perhaps you are wise. Lisa Koletsky, I arrest you on the charge of administering poison to Anya Henrik on March the 5th last. And it is my duty to inform you that anything you say will be taken down and may be used in evidence.
What's this? What are you doing? What are you saying?
Professor Hendrik, don't let's have a scene.
You can't arrest Lisa. You can't. She's done nothing.
I did not murder my cousin.
You will have every opportunity to say everything you want later.
You can't do this. You can't.
You need coat or hat.
I need nothing.
Inspector Ogden, come back. I must speak to you.
Wait in the hall, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Professor Hendrik.
I have something to tell you, Inspector. I know who killed my wife. It was not Miss Koletsky.
Who was it then?
It was a girl named Helen Roland. She is a student of mine. She formed an unfortunate attachment to me. She was alone with my wife on the day in question, and she gave her an overdose of the heart medicine.
How do you know this, Professor Hendrik?
She told me herself this morning.
Indeed. Were there any witnesses?
No, but I am telling you the truth.
Helen Rollander. You mean the daughter of Sir William Rollander?
Yes, her father is Sir William Rollander. He is an important man. Does that make any difference?
No. It wouldn't make any difference. If your story were true.
But I swear to you that it is true.
You are very devoted to Miss Koletsky, aren't you?
Do you think I would make up a story just to protect her?
I think it quite likely. You are on terms of intimacy with Miss Koletsky, aren't you?
What do you mean?
Let me tell you, Professor Hendrik, that your daily woman, Mrs. Roper, came along to the police station this afternoon and made a statement.
Then it was Mrs. Roper.
It is partly because of that statement that Miss Koletsky has been arrested.
You think that Lisa and I?
Your wife was an invalid. Miss Koletsky is an attractive young woman. You were thrown together.
You think we planned together to kill Anya?
I don't think you planned it. Could be wrong there, of course. I think all of the planning was done by Miss Koletsky. There was the prospect of your wife's regaining her health owing to her new treatment. I think Miss Koletsky was taking no chance of that happening.
But I tell you that it was Helen Rollander.
Tell me. Yes. I think it a most unlikely story. Is it plausible for a girl like Helen Rollander, who's got the world at her feet and who hardly knows you, to do a thing like that? Making up an accusation of that kind reflects little credit upon you, Professor Hendrik, trumping it up on the spur of the moment because you believe it cannot be contradicted.
Go to Helen. Tell her what has happened. Tell her that another woman has been arrested for the murder. Tell her from me that I know. Knows that with all her faults she is good and decent. I swear that she will confirm everything that I've told you.
You've put it up quite cleverly, haven't you?
What do you mean?
What I say. There is no one who can confirm your story.
Only Helen herself.
Exactly.
And Dr. Stoner knows. I told him.
He knows because you told him.
I believe it to be the truth, Inspector Ogden. If you remember, I told you when we left Mrs. Hendrick that day, Miss Rollander remained behind to keep her company.
A kind offer on her part. We interviewed Miss Rollander at the time, and I see no reason to doubt her story. She stayed for a short time, and then Mrs. Hendrick asked her to leave, since she felt tired.
Go to Helen. Tell her what has happened. Tell her what I've asked you to tell her.
Just when did Professor Hendrick tell you that Miss Rollander had killed his wife? Within the last hour, I should say.
That's correct.
If we met in the street.
Didn't it strike you that if this were true, he should have come to us as soon as she admitted to him what she had done?
Oh, he's not that kind of man.
I don't think you're really aware of what kind of man he is. He's a quick and clever thinker, and he's not overly scrupulous. This is an evening paper, I see.
Yes? I bought it on the corner before I came in. Haven't had a chance to read it yet.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm quite sure.
I think you did. Sir William Rollander's only daughter, Helen Rollander, was the victim of a regrettable accident this morning. In crossing the road, she was knocked down by a lorry. The lorry driver claims that Miss Rollander gave him no chance to brake. She stepped out into the road without looking right or left, and was killed instantly. I think that when you saw that paragraph, Professor Hendrick, you saw a way to save your mistress by accusing a girl who could never refute what you said, because she was dead!
Hello? No! These reporters never stop.
I should have stayed at the court. Why didn't you let me stay?
Lisa especially asked that you shouldn't remain in court to hear the verdict. We've got to respect her wish.
You could have stayed.
She wanted me to be with you. The lawyers will have to say,
They can't find her guilty. They can't.
If you'd like to go back
no,
there,
you stay here, Lester.
if I'm any use, if there's anything I
You can answer that damn telephone that keeps ringing.
Yes. Stay, my boy. Your presence here helps me.
Does it? Does it really?
She must. She will be. I can't believe that innocence will go unrecognized.
Can't you? I can. Once seen it often enough, and you've seen it, Carl, time and time again. Mind you, I do think she made a good impression on the jury.
But the evidence was pretty damning. It's that frightful Roper woman. The things she said.
She believed what she was saying, of course. That's what made her so unshakable under cross-examination. It's particularly unfortunate she should have come in and seen you and Lisa embracing on the day of the inquest. She did see it, I suppose.
Yes, she must have. It was true.
A thoroughly bad time to choose. It's really 1,000 pities that snooping woman never saw or heard anything that passed between you and Helen. Very nice young lady, that's all she had to say.
It is so odd to tell the truth and not be believed.
All you've done is brought down a whole lot of odium on yourself for cooking up a scurrilous story about a girl who is dead.
I should have gone to the police straight away. The moment she told me.
And you had. It's a pity you only came out with a story after buying the paper with the news that she was dead. And your reasons for not going to the police didn't sound credible in the least. Though they are to me, of course, because I know the incredible fool you are. The whole set of circumstances is thoroughly damnable. That Roper woman coming to find Lisa standing by the table and holding that bottle in gloved fingers. The whole thing has built itself up in the most incredible fashion.
Is it?
Yes? Hello? Get to hell!
Fools, that's all they are, fools.
If they find her guilty. If they...
Well, we can appeal, you know.
Why should she have the resources? Why should she be the one to suffer? If we should have her in her place.
It's always easier when it's oneself.
Well, after all, I'm partly
I
responsible
told
for
you
what
that's
happened.
nonsense.
But Lisa has done nothing. Nothing!
Lester, will you go and make us some coffee? If you know how.
Of course I know how.
Don't answer it. Leave me alone, can't you? Just leave me alone!
Patience, Carl. Courage.
What good is saying that to me?
Nothing. There's nothing else to say, is there? All that can help you now is courage.
I keep thinking of Lisa. Of what she must be going
I know, I know.
She's so brave. So wonderfully brave.
Lisa's a very wonderful person. I've always known that.
I love her. Did you know that I loved her?
Yes, Carl. You've loved her for a very long time.
We've both known. But we've never done anything. It didn't mean that I didn't love Anya. I did love Anya. I didn't want her to die.
I know, I've never doubted that.
It's strange, perhaps. But I am in love with the two of them.
It's not all strange, Carl. These things happen. Do you know what Anya used to say to me? When I'm gone, Carl must marry Lisa. You must make him do it, Doctor. Lisa will be good to him and look after him. If he doesn't think of it, you must put it into his head. That's what she used to say. I promised her I would.
Tell me honestly, Doctor. Do you think they'll quit her?
I think you ought to prepare yourself.
Even her counsel didn't believe me.